welcome back to the Arts of the Answer episodes of the YourTown TV. And we're so excited now to keep up with our theme of firsts, how the arts are the answer to new beginnings, fresh starts, the first of something. A great way to get started and really anything new you want for your life, for your family, for your town. And certainly at the heart of every arts experience are fine artists in our midst. And not every one of us is really going to be able to have the discipline and the creativity and all the different things they pour into that. We all learn a lot, I can tell you that. And so I'm so excited to have the two of the artists who are from the Arts Council's own Artworks program. It is affordable studios at the American Tin Cannery. We have, any given month, we have about 20 artists in residence there, getting their work started, getting their work done, and showcasing it to the world. So I have with me Bryan Gage and Deborah. And I'm so excited to have both of you. Bryan, can we start with you? How did you discover the artworks, or how did we find you? How did you get started?
I learned through a friend, actually, who had just gotten a studio there. Had talked to Jackie Atchison about getting a studio there. And so my friend turned me on to the place, and so I just, started checking out the studios. And at the time, it was a lot of them were open and available, which was great. So I was kind of in on the ground floor of it, and I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to be able to rent a space affordably and to make it my own, and to make my own art and sell my own art and be with other artists. So automatically I was just like, this is fantastic, especially in this area because everything is so expensive. So as a young starting out artist, it was a really fantastic opportunity.
That's so amazing. And I love your work, and it's hard to imagine that you were just starting out. But really, it's phenomenal. So we'll talk some more about that in just a second. So for Deborah, how about for you? How did you find the artworks, or how did we find you? When did you get started?
I was moving down from the Bay Area. I had met a wonderful man who I'm now living with. We have a house in Salinas. And he was based here in Monterey, and I thought, I'll never be able to find studio space. It's so expensive, right? And I had quit my corporate job. I couldn't take the stress anymore, and decided I wanted to do my fine art. And so some little voice said, just look online, just see if there's anything there. And so there was Artworks and Jackie's email, and it was like 2 days before I'm moving, right? And you know how that is, right? How complicated that time is. And so this is like Thursday, and she writes me back and goes, I'm showing the space tomorrow, and it's this much. And I'm like, it's that inexpensive? And she's showing it tomorrow, so I'm like flying down here. And I got the space, and I thought, oh my gosh, it just seemed like kind of a miracle to find a nice size art space that was affordable. And I live in Salinas now, but it's an easy commute to come over to work, so I'm really grateful.
And do you both participate in the monthly events that the Artworks has too? Is it Third Fridays?
Yes.
Everybody's there. So Bryan, can we start with you? Talk about what it's like to be there. I mean, it's an unusual situation, we have to confess, right? You don't have a door that you close. You don't have your own external world to show. You don't have a lot of space that you control, but you have your own space. Can you talk about that really one of the main drivers is it's affordable, but there's other benefits, it seems like. What have you kind of experienced? You've been there a couple of years already? Is that possible?
Almost 2 years now.
Isn't that amazing?
Almost 2, incredible. It's gone by so fast.
That is truly amazing. So what are the kinds of things, especially that you've seen now, we can say over time?
Well, it's really fun because it's there's such a different variety of artists, and of course that influences your art.
Isn't that amazing?
It's great, and it gives you different ideas, and then you can also influence others, and you kind of talk shop about art, and what you can do for the community as well, and projects, and so there's lots of people to draw from and experiences, so
That's phenomenal.
it makes it fun.
So you don't mind that there might be some distractions too, right, at different times.
At times there are.
Chatting.
Yeah, yeah, but it's also, you know, you can take it upon yourself to put on earphones and just kind of, you know, escape in your own world and kind of lose yourself in your artwork as well. And then when you need a break, you know, you can go off and go talk to people, and then it becomes a fun social interaction as well.
So the tin can, or the physical space there, is that we took over that, the Arts Council took over that 7,000 square feet, I think it is, 2 major spaces. And those were certainly, nothing was happening there. You know, Jackie and her husband were in there painting and fixing things, and it was amazing for, I think it was about a month or something that they took to just make it habitable. But there are some other things happening. There's 2 restaurants still, and there's a couple of other stores that are still there. So it's a very unusual arrangement, but it's so great anywhere that artists have a chance to zoom into a place, even on a somewhat temporary basis. Eventually, this might be a hotel. There's back in discussion about a new proposal. But if artists can occupy the space for some time, then you get the benefit as the artist, and then also the community benefits so much. So many people have been able to come and see you. In the opening day, I think there were 400 people just that very opening day. Yeah. So over time. So Deborah, how about for you? Do you find that is a comfortable space? Like, it's more than just inexpensive, right? There's other benefits as well.
Well, the space itself is awesome. I mean, I have enough space to hang things, look at stuff, work on a few things at a time. And
so
I
you
really
don't feel constrained. It's not.
Yeah, I'm not
too
constrained.
tight.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And you know, like Bryan said, you know, it seems to be the signal for people to leave you alone is to put your headphones on.
Oh,
it
very
works
good,
really well.
very good. Yeah,
It
just
really
the communication
does.
that develops because you're connected in that way. That's amazing.
Yeah, and so, you know, I feel like the, you know, camaraderie, you know, is like, I really started to appreciate, because everybody's work's different.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wasn't really taking the time to look at anybody's stuff because I'm limited on my time, and I'm like, how do I get in there and do my work?
Yeah.
But I organized our West End exhibit.
Oh, you
and
did?
so
Oh,
I had
wow.
to go around and select art. I was the curator.
Yeah, excellent.
And I really took the time because I was trying to have a cohesiveness to our presentation. And so I really looked at each person's work, and, you know, I had a deeper appreciation because whether, you know, is there any good or bad art, it's this opportunity to express what's coming through you, you know, and have that adventure. So I appreciate that, and I also feel like a lot of opportunities have come from being in that situation, to be in group shows and to be here with you today. So I feel like there's a lot of benefits, and any other things, you just be flexible and just sort of overcome, but the headphone thing works really good.
Yeah.
I'll have to come back to you for recommendations. What works the best? So, Bryan, tell us more about your own work and how that's developing, and how maybe it's changing a little bit, or how maybe even some people who want to purchase your work inspire you also to maybe even do things a little differently or offer other things. You know, just tell us about that process of the interacting with the people who say, I love your stuff.
I mean, it's always fun. It's always interesting. You never really know who's going to like what. Some people are drawn to more pieces than others. So it's always really fun and exciting for me as well to just gauge people's reactions. And it's always fun. I mean, I might think a piece is not very good at all, and then other people thinks it's great. So I'm like, well, that's fantastic. It's like, so it's always nice. Yeah, absolutely. I've always enjoyed my work. I mean, I've lived in several different places around the world for the last about 10 years. So all those experiences I tend to take and draw from, and now this is kind of just a you know, kind of an artistic journey for me, taking these experiences and trying to put them together into art and blend these ideas together.
So your work is so strong and dynamic. Is there any particular artists that in your journeys around the world that you that really got you started on your path? You have a very strong signature. It feels like to me like a style. Like I can see your work almost anywhere now. I say hi. And usually I'm right for sure. So I'm getting better and better at that. You know, I've been doing this for 14 years. So after a while, you know, you can, even with the variety of things that you see, you can start to at least make a good guess. So Are there particular artists that you remember, or a particular maybe cultural experience that you've had that has made the greatest impact, I would say, on your approach now?
Oh gosh, it could be. It's all of the experiences. I mean, living in Holland was a really big deal for me.
Yeah.
Being 20 years old and traveling to Holland and living there was an amazing experience. So that I still carry with me within my work as well. And then I went to design school in England, and so I still take experiences from that. Especially understanding the English kind of sensibility about art and design was very interesting. Simply being able to travel around England to see the museums, and then and I flew back and forth quite a lot as well between Holland and England for about 4 years. So I was able to see lots of different museums. So that was wonderful. And then from England, I went to I taught in India for almost 4 years. I taught art and design there. So again, just drawing from a completely different culture, something completely foreign to Western art and design as well was really quite something. So again, just I can't really pinpoint any one experience as being the true motivating factor.
Keeps, coming in.
Yeah, it does. So
wow, just amazing. And Deborah, how about for you? Like, is there any kind of influences that you, in your experience over the years, that you feel like, okay, this is what I'm especially interested in exploring more?
Well, I, like Bryan, I have a design background, different field. I was an art director for a long time, print advertising. And I went to, I've got a bachelor's degree in fine art. And so I've got the basics there influencing me. But I always was infatuated with the mid-century painters and abstract painting, and then energetic painting like Jackson Pollock, and then like the philosophical view of things was Silly Kandinsky's book concerning the spiritual in art. It's big influence, still an influence on me now, and then also the idea of spontaneity. Bryan Gage, the composer, he's all about just things just happening, right? And so I try to bring that energy to my art, and I feel like each painting, I start out with a direction, and then the painting leads me.
Wow.
So it means I got to take a step back and stare for a while, and then it tells me, do this, do that, where to go. And so, in general, that's what's going on for me when I'm working.
So both of you were somewhere else and somehow made your way here, and then found this space to be in. So we're really lucky to have you in our midst for as long as we can. I mean, you're going to go on and do a lot of other things as you go, but it's just really, 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 really great to have you. So we just have a few more minutes now. What are the kinds of things that you're seeing as next steps for yourself? Like, Deborah, you'll probably be, you just arrived, did you, in that space? When did you
I've been
start?
there for almost a year, a little over a year actually, 17 months, 18 months, something like that.
So do you start to think about, well, at some point I'll start doing something different or doing something else?
You mean other than my art, or what do you mean?
No, with your art, do you envision a next step in some way?
The next step is making money from my art. I need to do a lot of work on the background aspects, organizing myself for marketing.
Kind of the business side.
Yeah, the business side, but also balancing that with being productive. I mean, basically all I want to do is paint. I really don't want to do that, but that's, if I want to make some income from my art, then marketing is the next step.
So I understand that a part of the artworks evolution is going to be making some more of those kinds of classes or workshops or something available to all the artists. And there's some things online too that you can see, but there's nothing like actually just taking the time, carve it out time, and do it. That's the trickiest thing. So Bryan, how about for you? What's next for you? Do you have a vision of next steps?
I have quite a few projects kind of kicking around right now. Not any one vision in particular, but right now, I mean, again, it is a business, so there's always that side, but it's always the artwork which drives the business, and that's what propels you forward again and again and again. So it's right now I feel like I'm on some very interesting paths. So I'm looking forward to possibly maybe doing a show. I'm hoping for 2020, my first art show.
Great. Yeah. Do you know where it would be yet?
I'm not really sure at the moment. I am kicking around the idea of San Francisco.
Oh, great,
That's kind of on my radar right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Well, good luck with all of that. That is wonderful, and we just can't wait to see what happens next for you. You know, it's just really a great pleasure, and we just can't wait to see how you're going to go on in all your work as well. So tell me a little bit about when you talk to people about your work, what is it that you want them to really know? Like, do you find, for example, that when you talk about what drives you, what influences you, that the people who come, and particularly who come visit you at Artworks, that they really are interested in that? Because I know as a musician, when I'm playing, I play hammered dulcimer, and people will come up to me while I'm playing. But the ones who come, the ones who need to talk, are the ones who are already, not necessarily, they might be playing hammered dulcimer, but they're musicians in some way, and they just want to make that connection. Do you find that the same thing happens to you, like when you're at Artworks, that people who are drawn to your work are also themselves very creative and interested in the whole process?
I think so. And some people are artists on varying levels.
Yeah.
Some people I love it when they come in and they've seen my work from the hallway. I'm in the back
Yes.
of the studio, and they come because of the color.
Yes,
like
yes,
I
I
use
can
really
imagine.
intense
Yeah.
colors, and they're just like, wow, the color, I just love it.
Yeah.
And then that's really exciting. And then also, it's not, I mean, I only talk about it if they start asking me questions, but I like to see what they see.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that's resonating for them?
Yeah.
What's coming through? And what stories? Sometimes stories emerge from the paintings,
yeah.
even though they're
Yeah.
abstract. It's like,
really,
you know,
yeah.
they see a forest at night, or they
Yeah.
see under the ocean, and you know, I mean, so that's really exciting for me to get their feedback about what's coming through for them.
That's wonderful.
And then if they ask me, I'll be more specific about, oh, that was my intention when I was painting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
So that's so great. And Bryan, you must be talking to the people who want to talk more about what they see,
Absolutely.
what they want, what they do. Yeah.
It's always fun, yeah. It's always fun. You're never really quite sure who's going to pop in.
Yeah.
And it's always a blast. And people are always so eager to show their work as well, and talk shop, and exchange ideas. Yeah, so it's really, really fun. Yeah. It was kind of an unexpected kind of delight, actually, when you work in a public area.
Yeah.
It really is, yeah. And it gives you a boost of energy as well. You know.
So people can kind of come in at their leisure at certain hours, though, right? It's not like they can burst in on you in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night. There's certain hours that the space is open, and they go in. So does that pretty much keep things in a reasonable basis in terms of how much interruption you might have? Because even when the interaction is so awesome, it interrupts your workflow a little bit, maybe. Maybe it comes at a perfect time, but maybe not. So are you finding as Artworks artists that pretty much takes care of itself, that it's a good balance so far?
I always found it was a fairly decent balance.
That's
I never
awesome.
really had quite an issue with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you're like really in the zone, and you might not be quite as cordial at times. Right. Sometimes you're just in that zone, and you gotta get that idea out. But most of the time, no, it's really great, actually. Yeah.
So what would you say to somebody? We just have a couple seconds left. If there's an artist out there who really is thinking, I'd like to take my work to the next level. If there were an opening there, would you recommend that they start at Artworks?
I personally would, absolutely. I mean, it basically boosted my career, absolutely. It gave me that opportunity to be able to explore and really get my ideas out. And it was definitely a great boost, and it was really the start. It was the Kickstarter. So, absolutely.
Well, that's certainly very good for us all to hear. And thank you so much for being with us, Deborah, and thank you, Bryan. It's just been so delightful. I love your work. I love coming to see you at Artworks, but it's especially nice to be able to talk for a little while about your work and about the place that's facilitating it for now, and really the benefits to the whole community. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity.